Okay. We should be streaming. Yeah, that's right. I think we're streaming. Okay, good. Coming up in 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 20 seconds, actually. D-Day hypocrisy. Yeah, very moving today, huh? Very moving. But yeah, not all is quite as it seems. Dan McDevitt coming in, Soldier A to Z. God bless him. Let's have a good one. 9 minutes, people. Right, you've got 6 minutes, people, to do me a big favour and leave a review on the Daily Brexit page on Facebook, just to annoy Nick Clegg. Yeah, just annoy Nick Clegg. Leave a review. Thank you. Yeah, good man. Good people. And the reason for that is because they decided I didn't have any reviews at all last week. They decided that from 80 something that I didn't have any, and then they decided, oh, actually, no, he has. He's got 83 after I complained. And now it's gone back down to 80. I don't know. They've done this before. They always do. So do us a favor and review. Go to the reviews bit, yeah? Reviews. I'll put a link in there. Yeah, thank you. Bloody Facebook. Oh, copyright-free Facebook. Yeah, copyright-free for crying out loud. I'm not going to shout tonight. I'm not going to shout. Oh, and question time analysis live with question time tonight. That'll be later. Yeah. Dan McDevitt coming up in 5 minutes. Exposing the gov. Not difficult to do. Yeah. Always Theresa May.
But I wasn't wrong.
silly cow reckons that she's going to stay on if Boris or Raab get in. She reckons she's going to stay on as interim Prime Minister for life. I tell you, she's an absolute bloody nightmare. Sorry, I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to shout tonight. I'm not going to shout. Keep it collected. Keep it collected. Why is that so quiet? Oh, yeah. Right. Do-do. Former SNP MP jailed for 18 months for embezzlement. It sounds familiar, doesn't it, Fiona? Talking of which, if you're in Peterborough, go out and vote for the Brexit party, yeah? Because they're the ones who will kick out LabCon for crying out loud. Looking forward to seeing those results come in today. Hey, Dan.
Hi, Olly.
Hello, mate. How you doing? All right?
Not so bad, are we on?
Yeah, we are. We're streaming. Are you feeding your chickens?
No, I've done that.
All right, mate. Listen, a couple of minutes, sir. You did that bit. I'll tell you, this track's a bit repetitive, isn't it? It's got about as many lyrics as the average track on MTV these days.
Well, you're the one that picks them.
Hey?
You're the one that picks them.
Well, I mean, it's copyright free, Dan. Copyright free, Nick Clegg! Copyright free, Dan. Copyright free. Oh, here we go. 30 seconds,
What
people.
you should be playing is you should be playing one of our veteran songs.
I'd like to. Bung it over or give us a link.
Simon Bean or Phil Campion.
I'd love to. Please send me a link and I'll play it on Monday. That'd be great. That'd be great, Dan. Thank you.
Right, that'll be good.
Can't be worse than this. Listen to this. This is absolutely bloody awful, this one. Oh no, where do I get this stuff? Right, okay. You know what? It's that time of day. Yeah, I think so. Hey folks. Good evening, good people. Welcome to the Daily Brexit-ish, kind of ish. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination and exposing plutocracy. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. And now...
The chickens up to me, Ollie.
They're in your honour, Dan. D-Day 75, hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. What about soldiers A to Z? Veteran Dan McDevitt, 4 tours in Northern Ireland, founder of Veterans Against Terrorism and Veterans for Veterans, is here to expose the Gov. And with details on this weekend's protests which you can support. Taking your comments and your calls from the bottom of the hour. Please help the show, paypal.me/Brexit. Thank you. And any of that will go into tech. It will go into tech. Any of that cash I get will go into tech, I tell you what. I am struggling. My CPU is on 100% using the other software that I'm trying to, my snazzy new software. I'm using the old software still at the moment, which is not bad. Share the page, like the thing, all that, I don't know. Yeah. Thanks, God bless you. Let folks know we're talking, we're thinking, we're watching. We are active. Aye. So we got McDevitt. We got Dan McDevitt here on his homestead. Hey Dan, good evening, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, Ollie.
Thank you very much for coming back on. It's good to see you again. Now, I'm just going to go through some of the stories of the day, which will lead us succinctly onto the topic of the day, because I'm sure you can imagine what they are. At least the big story of the day, D-Day 75 years since. Wow, an amazing day in our history, not just here, but for the entire world. Now, just to give a few headlines on what's going on with that, I guess I will come on to that. First of all, something more Brexity. According to Breitbart, interim Prime Minister for life, Theresa May will only go if her successor has the confidence of MPs. Talk about making it up as they go along, yeah? Making it up as they go along. Do the Tory grassroots, do the Tory members get that choice of the last two or not? Oh, just a lot of old cock. Reports of Theresa May's political demise may have been exaggerated, with her spokesman revealing that while her time as Conservative Party leader is set to come to an end on Friday, she will remain as Prime Minister until she believes that someone else can command the confidence of MPs. What about the country? I'm not going to shout tonight. British Prime Ministers are not directly elected by the people, with prospective candidates instead being invited to serve by the monarch, generally on the assumption that they can command a parliamentary majority or at least muster enough support on key issues to execute a legislative programme. In modern times, this has typically been the MP who leads the party with the largest number of seats in the House of Commons. And you probably remember we once had Gordon Brown. Generally, although the role has in the past fallen to members of the House of Lords and MPs who were able to form a majority through a party coalition or with factional support across parties. This means, look, the bottom line is this. They don't want Boris and they don't want Rob because they're both talking about a no-deal Brexit. That's what's going on. We got Burko today as well. Now let's have a look and see what that Burke said. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can find. Sorry, I'm not going to shout tonight. We've got. Let's see if I can find the Burke story. Where's the Burke story? Here we go. Look at this as well. It's the same story. It's the same story with a different face, with a different puppet, build-up puppet. Meddling John Burko rejects bid to ensure no-deal Brexit. Not going to happen. This is him. Listen to this.
Parliament will not be evacuated from the centre stage of the decision-making process.
Right, now he's referring to Raab saying that he would prorogue Parliament, basically dissolve Parliament until after Halloween, October the 31st, at which time, no-deal Brexit, according to the shenanigans of the last governmental period or whatever, and disputed by Robin Tilbrook, for example, who says it was an illegal extension to Article 50. twice. Accordingly, Rob is saying, no, I'll just prorogue them. And we will see no deal Brexit. Now, Berko is saying, no, that's not going to happen at all. Let's have a listen.
Evacuated from the centre stage of the decision-making process on this important matter. That's simply not going to happen.
We had a referendum, which was given to us by you people in that Parliament building because you didn't have any choice. And now you're trying to pedal back on that. I'll tell you what, it makes you sick, doesn't it? Speaker John Bercow has ruled out the idea of proroguing Parliament to force through a no-deal Brexit. The response came after some Conservative Party leadership candidates suggested they would bypass Parliament. I didn't know it was more than just Rob, actually, with a no deal if they were elected as Prime Minister. Presumably Esther McVey is also sensible. I don't know. Mr. Bercow said, as we all know, because I have said it several times, and I think the honourable gentleman believes this, is that Parliament will not be evacuated from the centre stage of the decision-making process on this important matter. That is simply not going to happen. It is just so blindingly obvious. No, it is not, mate! Right, anyway, okay, this will run on. But, I mean, it's a lot of rhetoric, but da-da-da-da-da-da. And this is the kind of people they are. Former SNP MP jailed for 18 months for embezzlement, according to Guido. Just to, give you an idea what these are. All right, okay. Just one other thing before we get on to the D-Day 75 today. Question time tonight. I'll be doing question time analysis for the first time live. I did it for the first time last week, pre-recorded, and asked you folks what you thought. And wow, I'll tell you, the response was incredible and wonderful. I'm really grateful for the enthusiasm. And so I'm going to do it tonight live. So, hey, join me and let's rip the damn thing open. And by the way, it might be the first and last time I'm allowed to do it because Article 17, EU's Article 17 comes into force, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, it was Article 13, better known as Article 13, and just to obfuscate the matter, and that is exactly the reason they've done it, they've now changed the name, the article, to Article 17, but it is that copyright law which says that basically you're not allowed to use, any copyright without express permission. So I may not be able to use fair dealing as a reason to be dismantling the propaganda that is question time off the back of tomorrow, and that law, that EU legislation, that tyranny, because we left, coming into force. And so that is a bit of an issue, folks. That is a bit of an issue, but I will do it anyway, frankly, because as far as I'm concerned, EU, I'm a British citizen, and we have left. But nonetheless, I don't know whether Facebook will agree with that, for example, and YouTube and so on and so forth. I imagine not, because they would love to do the bidding of these plutocratic overlords. Right, okay. Now, I just want to play something that I heard on the 6 o'clock news before coming on this evening, because it's quite curious the way the BBC spun the speeches by Trump and Macron today at the commemorative ceremony. Let me see if I can get the right part of this.
And Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria...
Just a second. Let me see if I can get the right part.
Truth. As our Moscow correspondent Steve Rosenberg explains.
Of excellence for the UK for electric engines.
I want to get the right part, folks.
Philip Lewis has been...
Just bear with me.
It's a firework, bang. Do you think we'll see them more?
International cooperation than once it was. So Emmanuel Macron subtly reminded his audience,
here we go,
fighting on Omaha Beach lie buried. He told surviving veterans that they were among the greatest.
Just bear with me, Dan, but listen into this.
More powerful
okay, here we go.
than the strength of American arms was the strength of American hearts. These men ran through the fires of hell, moved by a force no weapon could destroy.
It was not a day for politics.
Okay. So Trump says, according to 6 o'clock news, BBC 6 o'clock news, these men ran through the fires of hell, moved by a force of no weapon could destroy. And then the BBC comes on and say it was not a day for politics and carry on.
But France worries.
So basically, they're carrying on, and they're talking about French propaganda after that, by the way. Now, I'll tell you what Trump actually said, because I ran this earlier on my timeline and on Daily Brexit. He said these men ran through the fires of hell. This is on the beaches, on D-Day. Moved by a force no weapon could destroy. The fierce patriotism of a free, proud, and sovereign people. They battled not for control and domination, but for liberty, democracy, and self-rule. That's the complete paragraph. That's the complete paragraph. Not just that little bit that the BBC ran. So, followed by, this was not a day for politics. He made it totally political. He summed up precisely what's going on today. Okay, all right, that's enough of that. We will look at, very, very briefly, just the headlines of what happened today in France in honor of our great veterans. And according to Torygraph, Bildergraph, D-Day commemorations, Prince Charles says today is probably the last chance to pay everlasting respect to veterans. And they just have some headlines here. Theresa May to veterans. The only thing I can say, thank you. Hypocrite. Donald Trump whips up veterans in rousing speech. Ceremony starts at Arromanches in Normandy. The D-Day clues were there. If only Hitler had done the Telegraph crossword, they say. But anyway, right, fine. Dan, a moving day, sir, no? What does it mean to you? Do you have some sort of mixed feelings, I guess, about this?
I've got very mixed feelings, to be fair. So there's the feelings of loss. My grandfather and other family members served in that. There's feelings of rejoice because without them we wouldn't have our freedom, and that's not just Great Britain in my eyes, that's all of Europe.
Yeah, well said. Yes, did you watch some of that today?
I've watched a lot of it today, to be fair, Ollie.
Yeah.
And it's very, very moving. I mean, I watched the actual ones on the beaches there. I mean, because a lot of people think it was just the UK. I mean, off to our flank we had Canada, then further on was America, and then off to our right flank was 2 battalions of Americans. So it's a day that changed the world, really, isn't it? It's a day of history and a day that changed the world.
It was. I am pretty struck. I don't know what your feelings are. It doesn't really make any difference what your feelings are with regards the EU and all of that, but I was very struck by the disparity between what the BBC said and what Donald Trump actually said. He clearly was. Dan just took a snapshot. He clearly was very concerned today. Was very concerned Mr. Trump about what's going on in Europe, and he made that I thought pretty clear with that. These men ran through the fires of hell, moved by a force no weapon could destroy. The fierce patriotism of a free, proud, and sovereign people. They battled not for control and domination, but for liberty, democracy, and self-rule. I have to say, it's so poignant today, Dan. No?
Yeah, 100%. I think to be fair, Donald Trump's words, I think he did a cracking job myself. And I don't know, with him, you tend to feel that he actually means it from the heart. He's not one of these political leaders that is just saying it for good and benefit and for votes and to appease people. He actually means it from the heart. I mean, I quite like the guy. That's my opinion. There'll be people out there that don't like him, but that's their prerogative.
He has been pretty remarkable the last few days.
I think he means what he says. He's a force to be reckoned with. And to be fair, I think some of his views are good. Don't get me wrong; they're not all good. But I think with regards to how he treats his veterans, how he looks after his armed forces, and the plans that he's got for the country in general, he genuinely seems to have the country's best interests at heart, unlike other governments, we'll say.
Well, he seems to be a much better British Prime Minister than the one we've got, and he isn't even the British Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's exactly how it looks, isn't it?
It's incredible, absolutely unbelievable. Surreal times. I have to say that I'm very, very grateful that we've got a man like Donald Trump in the White House. I cannot think of a better person to have been in the White House in my lifetime of any American president, frankly, from the sort of things that he says about the UK, from the sort of things that he said over the last few days. And, don't get me wrong, he's a politician. By default, I do not trust politicians. It seems to me a very silly thing to do. But on the other hand, I find it quite difficult to put him wrong. I find it quite difficult to put this guy wrong.
I'm pretty much the same, me. We had an alliance in America all them years back then, and we've got a very strong ally with America now. And what I find truly disappointing is the way that the Labour leader and the Mayor of London have actually, portrayed themselves, you could say, as politicians and as adults and meant to be professionalisms.
Yeah.
This is a man that is an alliance with the UK. We could have a great working relationship with him on the trade market as well, and yet to be disrespected by people that aren't even in power. All right, you're a leader of a political organisation, or you're the Mayor of London, but to disrespect an individual like that coming into a city, especially on the 75th anniversary of D-Day,
yes,
when
said.
They were our allies and they've made this country what it is.
That's right.
Because the amount of Americans that lost their lives, as well as British service personnel, is just astronomical. So their grandfathers would be turning in the graves, really, to see how they've been treated by two said individuals that are meant to be professionals and the leader of political parties. I think it's outrageous, to be fair.
I totally agree with you. And the politicizing over this event has been incredible. There was a post that was put out by Guy Verhofstadt earlier. Today we honor the heroes that landed on the beaches of Normandy to free Europe from the horror of Nazism. We commit to fight to preserve and enhance our European unity against those who want to divide us. We celebrate the fact that once we fought. Now, no, I thought you surrendered. You're in Belgium, aren't you? And now we talk. Look, here's to those who fought and died to liberate good Europeans from an invasive tyranny. I responded to him on Twitter. Here is to those who see the grave danger of the EU's imperialist dream and who fight to preserve the freedoms hard won in World War II. Here's to us, we the people. And bugger plutocracy! And The Guardian is writing that Macron, this is their headline tonight, to Trump at D-Day ceremony, fulfill the promise of Normandy. So I just read you what Trump said, about the guys like Dan here who are fighting for their freedom, for the freedom of their country, or thought they were. And God damn it, in God we trust that they were. That's kind of debatable, maybe. But, and we'll come on to that. But The Guardian, they're completely ignoring what Trump said. Just like the BBC, the libtards at the BBC, the morons. Facebook, if you want to block that word again, which isn't even a proper word in the dictionary, for crying out loud, you children. Macron to Trump at D-Day ceremony, fulfill the promise of Normandy. French president praises multilateralism of NATO and EU while offering gratitude to US. France's President Emmanuel Macron has appealed directly to Donald Trump to fulfill the promise of Normandy by embracing pillars of the post-war peace, such as the European Union and NATO. It was built by the Nazi. I'm sorry, but the European Union was a Nazi dream, concocted by people like that Prince Bernhard bloke at Bilderberg. It's just an absolute joke. Unbelievable. Anyway, in a speech that tried to find a diplomatic line, Macron offered both sincere expressions of gratitude for the valor of US troops in the Second World War and vehement calls for the White House to re-engage with the principles of... Trump wants to get rid of the EU, and good on you, Mr. Trump. Good on you, sir. So we all need that for the sake of... for crying out loud. Dan, it's just a tyranny, it seems to me. This whole European thing is dead dangerous. I guess that you know the deal with PESCO. They want to take all of our armed forces... So there's some bloke like Junker the Drunker, or the Junket, who can barely stand up after lunch, is in charge of the UK and the French nuclear capacity. We'll just give it away. How much have we spent on that over the last however many decades? All of our tradition and all the rest of it. All of our armed forces They get the lot under the control of some unelected drunk. And this guy is relatively nice, actually, even though he is a fascist who set up tax havens for basically that was all over what he did in Luxembourg as PM. That's what he did. Set up tax havens so that you and me could pay more tax and the likes of eBay or whatever would pay bugger all. And this is the kind of person that they want in charge of our armed forces. It's going back to the Nazi Germany, for crying out loud. Or it could be. It could be. Is it really, really worth the risk? I don't know. I mean, Dan, to me, the whole what's going on is so perverse. And people like Emmanuel Macron are just Vichy Nazis, frankly, and Vichy fascists anyway.
See, to put it in layman's terms for all them people out there, I totally agree with you 100%. I do not understand why we have to be part of an EU or the unification of the military. At the end of the day, if anything was to go wrong when there was another world war, we know who our allies are. We work well as individuals, and we work well when we team up together. All right, we can have the odd exercises, but for every military army in the European Union coming together under one banner, I think is absolute chaos. There's an old saying, don't fix it if it's not broken. And I don't think we should do that because, I think things need to be left as they are. Same with all these amalgamations that are happening. There needs to be more invested into the armed forces because at the end of today, let's go back to today. The 75th anniversary. If it wasn't for our armed forces and them brave individuals from every different walk of life, hundreds of thousands of them, aged mainly in between 18 to 20, they sacrificed the ultimate for us to be where we are now. Not just us, but all them European countries as well. We came together then to hold back Germany, by some deluded individual that wanted just to take over all of Europe.
Yes.
Why do we need that treaty and all to be together when we can come together if worst case scenario happens?
That's right.
But we come in strength rather than diluting it and putting it, stretching us all over the place. Invest in individual countries, invest in their, your armed forces, and make things work. We don't need a military unification under the EU. It's a load of rubbish.
We've got NATO. What's the point of having PESCO, which is the EU's military unification, when we've got NATO?
See, the thing is with PESCO, that was shoved under the table, as we've said. White paper, as they call it. The general public didn't know about it.
Still don't.
And I think a lot of it is to appease the European Union. It's to appease these people in European Union and all these councils because we've lost our backbone. Gone of the days of Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher and people like that. Our backbone has gone. And we haven't got a government now that will stand up and fight for its country, its heritage, its history, its armed forces and everything that makes this country great. It just doesn't do it. So it's willing just to hand over to people and think, well, we're keeping them happy. We're doing this. You just can't keep appeasing these other governments. It just does not work.
I have to say, I think you're very kind, sir, to say that we haven't got any backbone. I think that they are foreign agents. These people at the most senior ranks of the Tory party have been for decades traitors, in my opinion.
I'm not saying we haven't got backbone.
Go on.
Listen, all the people in this British Isles, in Great Britain, right? There are 4.8 million veterans, 4.2 of them in the UK. We're not all in old age pensioners. As you can see, I don't look like an old age pensioner.
No, you look pretty fit.
There are other organisations out there.
Go on.
Even the lads that are serving now in the British Armed Forces, they all have backbone, right? We've got backbone. We'll stand together with a backbone. What I'm saying is the governments that are they're just wanting to sell us down the river. And I'm sorry, but I think you should start listening to the people of Great Britain and doing what's best for your country rather than trying to keep everybody else happy.
Okay, all right. Well, we will keep talking about this, and what have you. Dan, what's going on, sir, this weekend, please? And why? Okay. First of all, basically the bottom line is that soldiers are being sold out by successive governments since Tony Blair. No, is that more or less correct? And for example, there's Soldier F is the best known one probably, who's this squatty in Northern Ireland, who's now in his 70s, who's being asked to take the rap for doing his job and being used as a kind of a political pawn. And there's a lot of other soldiers that are having similar grief being used for, I don't know, I don't understand why actually. Can you please sum it up for me, Dan? What's going on with these squaddies, these veterans, 40 years later after the event or whatever, they are being victimized. Now, we did a big show on this last week, or a couple of weeks ago. So I refer you to that, Soldier F. It should have been called, though, Soldier A to Z. Dan, why? What is... give us the... Please, sir.
That's what we're calling it now, Soldier A to Z. Yeah, for the simple reason being... This is going all the way back when Tony Blair sat down with Sinn Féin, all with the peace treaty and everything else. Mm-hmm. The Savile inquiry was kicked off, looked into veterans, some veterans that agreed to be interviewed at the time, given amnesty on it. Mm-hmm. So they will not be prosecuted under the Savile inquiry. Mm-hmm. But then others that have been investigated and found acquitted.
This was about Bloody Sunday. Bloody Sunday,
and basically the troubles that go on in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, which was an extraordinarily difficult battlefield to navigate for you guys, wasn't it? You did 4 tours, yeah, I understand.
Totally. No, I didn't do 4 tours. Let me correct you there, Ollie. I did a residential tour. Right. And then a tour after. In total, I did over 3 years in Northern Ireland.
Right, okay.
Which would accumulate to more than 4 tours, to be fair.
Right, okay.
Because a tour is 6 months unless you do a residential tour.
Right. Okay, so you know how difficult it was to try to, basically cover your back in urban... And so these squaddies now, one of them and other squaddies in similar situations